Okay.
Come closer. You're outside the frame a little bit.
Okay.
This is weird because this is not the physical arrangement that I think is best for a conversation.
I agree.
You think so?
Maybe you need to
Like-
be there, and you guys need to be. You need to be like in front of each other, like a. Yeah.
I feel like
more
maybe
like a
going
circle?
more in front, yeah.
Yeah.
Because it's like if we can have the camera arranged in such a way to where the person
Mm-hmm.
looking at it would feel like,
They're
they're
part of this conversation too. Can you
yeah.
maybe bring the camera closer?
Yeah, look nice. It looks like we're on a picnic.
I feel like we bring it too close.
I thought it's fine.
We're gonna start chopping heads.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
Well, is this more conducive to a talking environment to you?
Good.
Yeah, it definitely feels
All
better.
right. So we have a new guest on today.
Wait. We
First
haven't
guest.
done it literally an intro or anything yet.
Oh, I was gonna do the intro, but you can do the intro. Go ahead, do the intro. Go ahead, do the intro.
I want some other shit today, honestly. Here you go.
Welcome back to another episode. I don't know what episode this is, but
3.
3?
Yeah.
3.
Episode 3.
Yes. And then we have a friend and somebody that I admire, and also an artist that I think is amazing artist. This is not a good
No,
intro.
this is terrible. Okay.
In my
Where
mind,
were
I
you
thought
doing
it was
this?
way
Where
better.
were you doing this?
But all I'm saying is, this guy deserves it all. Evan Dean Strait, everybody.
Are you really starting with that?
Right, I'm just okay. I can do better. Let me do. Let me read it.
I think that was fine.
That
yeah.
That's fine.
Yeah.
Now you're making me insecure. All right. Okay. So Evan, please tell the audience, like, what are you about? Because it's also kind of interesting to see how would you describe yourself. You know?
I don't think I would describe myself as being that particularly unique or special in any one domain. I feel like I like to explore, and I'm a curious person. But the longer I'm alive, the more I realize that I think we're all relatively unremarkable. And I just feel like I'm growing into my lack of remarkableness. I don't know.
Yeah, starting with a humble note.
Yeah.
But I don't even think like it's that humble, because like at a certain point, I don't know. Like asking me
like
like
a
what
truth.
am I
What?
about? It's like
so
it's
true. Like I
I
feel
don't
like
know.
the older I get, the more like I'm confused. Like, what the fuck am I? You know, like when I was a kid, I'd be like, oh yeah, I like to draw. You know, I like to sing. I like to do those things, and you define yourself more. Because like when you're younger, when you're at like a impressionable age, and you feel like all those things that you do defines you, right? But like personally, I feel like the more I grow, the more I feel like, oh, I'm just doing these things, but I don't really feel like attached to it. Like, also, I feel like it's also like a mental practice that I don't want to attach myself to anything to emotionally identify myself as such, you know. But like you said, like I just feel like the older you get, the more like you feel like you can relate to others, because kind of see more, right?
I also just think the older you get, the more experience you have, also the more people you're exposed to, and then you also realize and meet so many people, or like have some experience that like are so special or are so amazing. Then you're just like, I don't know, and then it's kind of just like it goes back and it makes you feel like I'm actually not that special, like you know, like there's a whole world out there, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I just feel like at least in smaller environments, like growing up, it's easy to be it's easy to identify it as one thing and just make it what you're about.
But all that humbleness that, you know, we began with, I still want to emphasize again, Evan is a really good artist, and then you should definitely check him out if anybody listens to this.
I often say he's the best musician and singer that I personally know, but I don't know. How does that make you feel?
How do you
Like, yeah, honestly.
feel?
How does
You
that
look.
make you,
Do you feel comfortable with compliments or no?
I'm indifferent towards compliments. I think it depends on who's
the
giving
compliment?
them.
Mm-hmm.
But
I'm,
I think I'd rather live with less compliments than more compliments. Because I think when compliments are a rarity, you appreciate them.
Yeah.
And when they're in abundance, you maybe take them for granted.
Damn, I wish I could take them for granted. Somebody give me more compliment, please.
Well, part of that is just like an observation from, like, as a man looking at women. It's like, on the whole, women are going to compliment one another more.
Mm-hmm.
And they're also going to receive compliments from men more than maybe a man from a woman.
Yeah.
And, like, as a man, like, I can specifically remember, like, a person calling out and complimenting me, you know, on something. And, like, I mean, now that I'm actually thinking about it, I can't think of a specific compliment. But, like, I know I've been given compliments before by a woman, and it made me feel good. It made me feel special in the moment. But I feel like
sometimes not the same.
sometimes the way I watch girls give compliments to each other, I'm like, this is just an everyday occurrence for you. So
like maybe we should hyping up each other like that.
yeah, maybe I would like to live in a more compliment heavy
That
reality.
ass look thick today, Evan.
Yeah.
Dude, it's looking snatched, slaking.
But I'm kind of curious to go back to what you guys were talking about with like creativity and your preferences as a child. Because I feel like when we are really little, we just naturally try and are drawn to the things that attract us.
Yeah.
There's nothing
No baggage.
hyper logical about our decision making. It's just, I would like to try this, I'm gonna try it. And then we start playing around and trying things on. But like you said, it's like it's very loose, the space you're trying to aim for as an adult.
Yeah.
And I think that space is very similar to the place we were in as really little children. But at a certain point, in our adolescence, we started to develop egos and want an identity.
Yeah.
And so we started to cling on to things more. But I feel like I'm a singer right now, but like, what if I lost my vocal cords in some tragic vehicular vocal cord accident, and I can no longer sing or speak. Like, if that's part of my identity as a person and as a creative individual, that just means all of that's done. Like I died.
That you know of.
That version of you died.
Yeah, and I feel like that's like a very, I don't know. I just feel like in my like journey of becoming a more creative person, I realized that I think we're all creative to some degree. Some people are creative in more obvious ways because you can like see like, oh, they painted this picture or whatever. But we're all crafting the world around us.
Yeah. Oh, speaking on the subject of creativity, I'm really interested in to know what your process is for creativity. It's actually one of the reasons why we started this podcast is kind of like I want to connect with different creatives and then see how they view creativity and how would they channel it, right?
Because it's almost like what you said. Everybody has the ability, right, to be creative. I believe personally, but it's also being able to listen to that and tap into it. Like, what do you do to tap into that? Is the question.
For example, for me, I feel like just doing try and errors, right? Like there's certain times that I feel different energy that are creative. Like my least creative time will be like from noon to like 4 o'clock. I have nothing. I just usually just like I can do work, but there's not creative hours.
But his creative hours is his gremlin hours.
When it hits like 11 to like 3 a.m. Type shit, like I'll just be like it's that type of energy is good for me to make music.
I think it's unfiltered. It's almost so unfiltered.
But when I do like just like regular like writing or some art stuff, I feel like morning is better for me. You know, and I would do like I'll wake up and I'll clean my room a little bit and I'll feel good in my space and I'll do a little meditation, kind of gay, but yeah, but it works, you know. So it's kind of, I create like a little ritual for myself, and I think creating that ritualistic thing, kind of like, oh, now it's time for me to like create. So tell us your secret, your sauce.
I don't think I have any secret sauce.
No.
I think that there's a voice inside me, and I don't know if everybody else experiences this, but there's a voice inside me that is just really certain when it's time to make something.
Oh shit.
and I feel like, because I guess to paint a little bit more of a picture of myself as a creative, I started writing songs when I was 12. And I started writing poems maybe a little bit before then, and then I realized, wait a second, like this is almost a song.
Yeah.
And so it initially just began as a very fun activity that I was naturally drawn to.
Yeah.
And over time, around 15 or 16, that's when I first started recording music.
Damn.
But I wasn't able to take that stuff seriously.
Yeah.
Why?
I think because initially the recording process was taking place around friends, and 15, 16 wasn't like an optimal time to be vulnerable with the guys.
Yeah.
So it was much easier to just make up a silly song about irritable bowel syndrome or something, you know, with a sick beat.
I'm that right now.
And so I kind of learned to just follow ideas that sounded funny.
Yeah.
And to just like flesh out a song and like know when an idea was going to be funny. And I think we all can relate to that. I mean, maybe not everybody, but every now and then you have a thought like of something that you could say in a group of friends.
Yeah.
That could be funny.
A punchline.
A punchline, yeah. It's like there's just something that like tickles your brain. You're like, that could be funny.
Yeah.
And I feel like for me, I get those with things that could be sad or could be like happy. Like I get emotional, like kind of signals of like, oh, like there's this phrase that just popped into my head, and rather than being a punchline, it would be like the
catalyst.
It would be like the chorus of a song, and I'm of like a very specific type of mood, like this that we're in right now. This experience of we're sitting on a porch, the sun is setting, there's birds in the distance, and the sky is like blue, and then it kind of fades into this like violet in the horizon with a big orange bulb just melting away. It's like, this is an emotional image, and there's an emotional reality here that I feel like you could capture. Does this call to me in this moment? No. Like this does not. But occasionally there will be a set of environmental and situational circumstances that coalesce in life, and there's this, usually for me it's a phrase that will pop into my mind that kind of, it's like the first, it's the first little break through the wall into that reality. It usually comes in the form of a phrase. It'll be like all around me all the time is like a thick wall. And it's just, I'm living in this normal day-to-day life, and then the creative thoughts are like a tiny hammer that just breaks a hole through the wall, and then a bit of light comes through. And the creative process for me is excavating this hole to make this tiny hole a doorway, because what I want is 10, 20 years from now to be able to go back to that song or that poem or movie or whatever it is, to go back to that doorway. Because if I do the creative work, like what I believe is that there will always be this doorway there to walk through. But if I don't do that work, nobody else gets to go to that place. Now, I mean, someone else might make a door right next to my hole, you know?
That's similar.
Like sometimes, like there was this really cool thing I heard about Prince.
Yeah.
So one time, no, this was Michael Jackson, but it's about Prince. So Michael Jackson wakes up, it's 4 a.m., and he calls his producer or somebody who's in charge of something, and he's like, I gotta get to the studio right now. And then he's like, oh, can't this wait till like the morning? Like I'm like asleep. He's like, no, because if I don't write this song now, Prince is gonna write it, you know? Like he was anxious about other
Someone
artists
else.
getting the idea, like, and
That's actually funny.
yeah, I don't know. There's something about that. I feel like there's this creative world that is available to us to uncover.
Yeah.
And I don't really know if there's any like right or wrong way. I think it's whatever system like gets you to do that work. If whatever works for you, basically.
Well, now that you said it, because I put me in the perspective of like it's very different and different. Everybody have different creativity, you know. And then specifically in songwritings, like I experienced that thing too. Is like you have a certain like a funny thing. It all started with like a funny little thoughts, and you're like, oh, this would be really cool if you put it in a song, right? And then you kind of like creating a structure for it. I think I'm still at that stage. You probably was like, and when you were around 15, you know, like I'm just like literally discovered like how to write a song and then how to build the structure of it. But like my subject still stays with like pee, poop, you know, all those good stuff.
Well, it makes me
yeah.
think of like when a child is learning to speak.
Yeah, and then you learn those.
Yeah,
things.
it's like the babbling stage, you know. It's just like the.
It's babbling, and ideally, I guess there's lots of laughing.
Yeah,
You know, it's like the kids trying to talk.
I don't
and
know. I
like,
babysat this weekend. There was a lot of crying.
yeah. Well, I mean, maybe that's a good like point to take
That's
away
my next
too.
stage. It's
Well, it's okay to like go through the frustration stuff
Yeah.
too.
Yeah.
No, I think it's just for songwriting stuff. I think I just want to keep it fun, you
For
know.
you?
But yeah, like I don't know. Me and Sony would both try. Me and Sony would have a band called Foreskin. It's we're in a rap group.
This is the first I'm hearing about this.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you need
Well, we didn't really give a good intro or backstory, but we actually all are friends outside of this too. So
Oh yeah.
we're
We
learning.
didn't just grab him from the streets. Like we know this guy.
But
Yeah.
yeah, but we're diving in a little bit deeper.
Uh-huh.
It's getting dark out here.
It's getting dark.
Can't even see. Should do like 5 more minutes, then we wrap it up.
Okay.
Yeah. So it'll be 8:07. No, we'll wrap it up.
I-
Pretty
I-
good. You got any questions you wanna?
Yeah, I just feel like I don't really want to stop it right now.
Yeah. Well, keep going. Keep going.
It's okay. I don't know. I feel weird right now.
What do you mean? Tell.
I don't know.
tell the
Maybe it's
camera
just
what
looking
you
at
mean.
the sky. I feel emotional or something. I feel like very overwhelmed with emotion right now, which is kind of goofy, but
How goofy.
so goofy.
What's going on?
What's going on, Michelle?
I don't know.
Let's crack this egg open.
I don't want to. I don't know.
Crack it open
I don't
right
know
now.
if I want to crack it open. You can't see right now, but they can see. My eyes are like watering right now, but I don't know why. It's a weird feeling.
I didn't
leave some?
notice until you mentioned it.
Yeah. Okay.
You think about Motherland? Madrid.
No. No, it was just interesting hearing about your creative processes, I guess. Sometimes I feel like, I don't know, he was saying that something about, tapping in, or people have like different strategies or ways or like structures, or some people just feel called or whatever it may be. I feel like everybody every now and then probably gets like that lightning bolt of inspiration, right? That feeling inside, like, oh, like I need to do this or something, or at least I know all three of us have felt it. but for a long time I struggled with actually like doing it, you know what I mean? Like I felt inspired by something and I like had this idea, but I didn't have that urgency like Michael Jackson in the moment where I was like I need to do this right now. But not only until the past couple months where I've actually now have written and finished a couple of songs where like I felt like in that moment I had to write it, right?
Yeah.
So
It's almost like I feel like the greats that are out there, that the people that are famous, known for their work, right? They might not be the most creative, but they're definitely competitive,
and they also
and that's what make them like out there. You know, like I feel like for example, this is not like you are the most creative person that I know. Like your songwriting is amazing. Like I believe like if you put it out there, or if it's run by a marketing or something like that, right, you will be on the chart. Like I have no question, no doubt about that. But it's just like I don't think you are competitive in that way. You know, like the story you told about Michael Jackson is like, oh, he wakes up and like, oh, I have to go make this song right now because before Prince makes it. Like in his mind, that means that he has this awareness that there are other people that are like in the business. He's in the business. You know, versus us. I feel like I'm in a sphere of I've been kind of like goofing around for a long time. You know, I didn't treat it as like a career or anything. Just I do it for fun, which I would still like to see it that way. But I feel like right now we are stepping between amateur and then a professional. Right? It's like what separates a real artist and somebody just like kind of doing it as a hobby is if you can turn that dial, like not only keeping it fun, but see it as how do you make it as a tool for you to like just
for your life,
you know. And that's like very different subject than just creativity. You know, it's like it's business, but it's like it helps your art in the long term, you know, because like be able to provide for your art, like funneling your art and then provide your art going further. That's a whole art in itself, you know, how to market it, how to run it, you know.
It's a creative endeavor.
Yeah
in itself, because also I think like being successful creative in the sense of like actual wealth, or like in this material world as we know it, is a creative endeavor, because there is no set path, right? Like there's no set path. Like I feel there's a set path for like to become a dentist, right? The set path to do like these other things, but like there's so many different ways you could be quote unquote successful, depending on what your definition of successful is. First question I have for you is like, is that a lifestyle or like a thing that you even ever like want or desire, like to have a life where you are doing your music full time, or do you want it to be something that's more for yourself, or like have you thought about that type of thing? That's even a hard question. Like it's a hard question for me. And in terms of I think songwriting and things like that, and actually performing, I learn a lot from Evan. I mean, we perform together sometimes, but I learn a lot from Evan, and like I am like still just like I don't know, on the track to get to where he's at right now. But sometimes I think to myself like, oh, like is that even a life I really would want? You know, like I like performing and I like making music, but I'm like, also that what comes with that is like, would I want to be famous, or like do those type of things, like all the things, that caveats that come with that life, you know what I mean? Like I do, it would be like nice to have a life where like I'm doing creative things for a living, right? But then it's like also you can argue it takes away
your creativity,
away, like the pureness of the creativity, if you guys. It depends on how you think about it or frame it, but what are your thoughts on that personally?
I mean, very simply, but because I feel like I have to set some sort of terms for success. Like, what would that look like? And I think anybody in any field, whether they're creative or a dentist, it's like setting some terms for success is going to be good. It's like, do you want to be a dentist? Do you want to own a practice? Do you want to own multiple practices? Like, when can you say you did it?
Yeah.
And like, for me as an artist, I guess, like, if I released an album a year and then I made enough money to support myself and support multiple other people, I would consider my creative career as success.
Yeah.
Now, as far as like, do I want that? That's like a more complicated question, I think, because for me, more important than my creativity is my relationship with the creator. Because I believe that we get our creativity from a higher creative source. That we are all tiny sparks of a much, much bigger fire. And we're the same in essence as that much bigger fire, but we are smaller.
Yeah.
And I believe that all of our real happiness, like the fruition of our utmost desire, is to live and act in accordance with the will of this higher creator. So let's say Ming hired me to help him make a music video. And you are the creative director, and I am just the pawn, moving things around on the set, helping you realize your creative vision.
Yeah.
I believe that for me as a creative, that my like complete satisfaction is to be found in surrendering to and embracing the will of the capital C creator.
Yeah.
And what's crazy about that is that doesn't limit me to creative jobs.
Yeah.
Because if you look around at this entire world is a creative act. Everything here is like creative. The grass is a creation. This house is a creation made by men, which are creations, wearing clothes created by other people. You know, it's like this whole, like the fucking fabric of the sky, like everything is creative. The person working at the coffee shop, that's a role in this tapestry of life. And I'm trying to get myself comfortable with the idea that whatever the creator asks of me, I will do it. And wherever he puts me, I will work in that place, like with the aim to fulfill their will. And so for me, that could mean that war could break out in 5 years, and I have to be okay with that. I can't be all woe is me. Like, oh, like I'm gonna flee to Canada and paint trees in the woods because really I'm an artist and that's what matters most.
Yeah.
When it's like, I don't know what matters most. Like I don't know what matters most.
Yeah.
And like, so that's what makes it hard for me to even say if that is what I want, because I've been shown time and time again that what I want isn't good for me, or it isn't even what I wanted.
Yeah.
That like, I thought I wanted it, then I got it, and then I discovered, oh, I didn't want it. Oh, but I did want it, but then I got it, and then I didn't want it. So to me, that says that I can't even trust my own desires, and like, so rather than trusting in what I want is best, if I can beg and plead the universe and say, please, like source of all personality, can you just give me a sign as to what you want? Because you are like you're infinite in a way that I am not infinite. You know, like, and some people will argue it's like, oh, like you are the universe, you know, and it's like, okay, like, yeah, I can get behind that. Like, it's like this specific part of fabric, this is my shirt, but it's not my whole shirt, but it is part of my shirt.
Yeah.
and like we are infinite in the way that there's infinite space between 1 and 2. You could cut that up infinite times.
Yeah.
But then the space between 1 and 5, you can also cut that up infinite ways. But it's a bigger infinity. So then you take the biggest infinity that there is, and that's this creator, and then if I'm just gonna assume that person, that thing, that entity, whatever, knows more than me. Because with my small amount of knowledge, it's like I'm constantly just course correcting in life, being like, I like this, wait, no I don't. I like that, no I don't. And
it's like a never ending journey.
Yeah. That's all springing from this question of, is that something you want? It's like, I think us meditating on our desires is kind of this cycle of suffering that could go on like forever.
That is essentially the human experience, you know? It's like we're driven by
desire, fear.
2 things, right? It's like I'm doing this because I think I want to do it,
or I don't want to do it,
or you don't want to do it because I'm afraid, or you're doing it because you're afraid if you didn't do it then you're missing out or something, you know? And then that result of that is like we are constantly in the despair of fighting against what you actually want. But then again, as you summoned it pretty well, like we don't know. You know, like even the most successful people are just as lost. Then you know, and then somebody that are like, you know, sleeping on the streets are also lost too. Like it's not different. Like I've seen rich people and I've seen poor people. They actually share a lot in common. You know,
it's kind of like beef.
Yeah, but it's us folks in the middle. You know, are I think could be like the happiest. You know?
You think so?
Yeah, it's somewhere in the middle. It's always somewhere in the middle.
I feel pretty lost, I think, sometimes.
Maybe you're not in the middle. If you're in the dead center of this, like, the geometric... Okay, let's look at math, right? Like, I feel like the happiest number is probably, like, 5.5.
Well, it's like a bell curve. It's like a bell curve, you know? Have you seen those graphs? I can't think of a specific. Yeah, I mean it's a bell curve, but like it's like usually like the average in the middle. I don't know how to explain it mathematically, but I think it just reminds me of a bell curve. But yeah, it's like usually the average in the middle. It's like they kind of. Because they're in the middle, it's like they don't have to struggle as much. It's like 2 extremes.
And then there's more of you guys together. You look around, like if you're in the middle, you're most likely to convince yourself that you're happy. If that makes sense, because like you look around and be like, oh, I should be happy. Then you know, like I'm in this position that majority of people are. Then you're happy. Versus.
Interesting.
I don't know if this analogy is even like.
It is working.
Yeah.
But I kind of get what you mean. I almost think because there's top 1%. Let's say the top 1%, the bottom 1%. Just like they're living like such a life that the majority of people aren't ever gonna experience. That it's like hard. It would be hard for people to relate, and for them to relate to other people, and vice versa. You know what I mean?
I don't even know how to speculate this. This is definitely just speculation because like I don't even know what my class is.
What's your what?
I don't even know what my class. Oh. You know, like I've definitely I've been to fancy hotels. You know, but like it was like 6 of us in one room. But I've been to fancy hotels. You know, I also been to like. But I also been to like really like dirt poor country. You know, I grew up around like, you know, I've seen some poverty. I've seen some shit. I've been all around. I've been in the middle too. So like, personally, I don't even know if money is how much money in my bank account is not a thing, right? Like I don't know where I'm at or like what the fuck is this? You know, is all this supposed to mean? Like,
you sound pretty lost.
I'm pretty lost. I don't even know where this logic going.
I don't know where you're going with that either.
There's something that pops into my mind, which is in in the Buddhist and the Vedic conception of samsara, of this cycle of birth and death and reincarnation.
Yeah.
Especially as far as I understand it, in the Vedic tradition, the human birth is the optimal birth for enlightenment, for bliss, you know? Because they say that when you're in the higher level births on the planets of the demigods where people would live for 1,000 years and they just have all the most opulent pleasures you could ever imagine, that those people are not encouraged to inquire about life because everything's so good. Why would they have an existential crisis?
Yeah.
They'd be like, what? There's like music coming out of my toes or whatever crazy shit they have that we can't even comprehend. But then on the opposite end of that, they say that the people living in the hellish Narok, hungry ghost realms, they say that those people, they're so distracted by their suffering, so overwhelmed with the miseries of life, that they don't have time to inquire about their existence. And they say that somewhere in the middle, in the human realm, is this beautiful opportunity where you can inquire about life. And I think that even within the human realm, there's this space of like, you don't want to be too rich, you don't want to be too poor, you don't want to be, like, it's probably not ideal to be born into some mega rich family.
Like part of like the monarchy or something like that.
But it's also not ideal to, be born to like a woman on the street in a third world country and never receive education, and you're always worried about food and water. Like neither of those are ideal. Now people would say, well, obviously you'd rather be in the upper one.
Yeah.
But I mean, honestly, the older I get, the more I'm like, I don't fucking know which one's better.
Yeah.
Because it's like, there's plenty of super rich people who seem super miserable. And you go to a third world country, and there's plenty of those kids that are like smiling, just fucking like jumping up and down with a banana. Like, they're just so happy. Like, this isn't my projection. This is like an images I've actually seen in person, being like, oh my God, you're happy. Oh my God, you're rich and you're sad. And so sometimes I wonder, like, when I'm reflecting on like my class or my position in life, sometimes I feel like I am so lucky. Yeah. Because I was born to a middle class family where like my dad had just like pulled himself out of poverty to create a family that was just like hovering right above poverty. And it gave me this really awesome, peaceful opportunity to, grow and develop. And I don't know. There's something about being not too rich and not too poor that I do think provides you an opportunity to like just sit on your porch with a cup of tea or coffee in the morning. You're not stressed out about some big real estate deal or some fortune that's about to be inherited to you, and you're not stressed about where you're going to sleep. All these things. You can just sit there and be like, I got something to do later today. Yeah.
Maybe that's why us three are all middle class. That's why we having this conversation. That's really don't wonder like this.
That's true. The fact that we even have the time to sit on our porch and to just ponder about
this is a very middle class conversation. It should be the name of this podcast. Middle class podcast.
Middle class trash.
Middle class trash. Yeah. Wow. Oh man.
That was.
Having this conversation with you just made me realize I need to read more. I have not been reading.
You used to read a lot. Wow.
Yeah.
I just fell off.
I don't know. I just feel like I used to read a lot of philosophy classes, and it made me feel like I'm dumb. And I do feel it opened up a door, like it makes you curious and then wonder about life, but it kind of like, it's a road of recycling, and a road of cycle. He's going back and forth of different like ideology and then different subscriptions, and then I don't particularly subscribe to anything so far, but maybe I feel like I'll probably do, like, I want to try it all, I want to do Christian. I already done Christian, done Buddhist.
Gotta do Buddhist.
Maybe next year I'd be Muslim,
Yeah.
all religious people hate me.
Accepted by no one.
Yeah, bro. I subscribe to it all. But, you know, yeah, it's just fun. It's just fun to see. Because, like, you're a set of mindset that you have. It creates the world you live, you know? And then it's like, it's based on your environment. It's based on your external thoughts affect a lot. Externally affects a lot internally, you know? Like, I can't be Christian in Austin. I don't know what it is. It's just like, it doesn't really hit it for me. You know, it's not, like, I don't feel the Christian in me in Austin, you know? But I feel pretty zen here. So, like, right now, like, my mode is pretty Eastern in Austin, you know? But, like, when you go to, like when I was in the countryside, dude, like, you feel like, oh man, like, Jesus.
Yeah.
You know, like, when you go to like a how would you say, like, you're going down to like a country, like a small town, and then they just have like those like old townhouse like shops,
like a little general store.
Yeah,
and stuff.
and then like grocery
Alma.
stores, yeah, like Alma,
Alma.
and then they'll have like bars, you know, and then
It's
people
like,
win
there's only
booths.
one restaurant in the whole town.
Yeah, and then you were like, Jesus,
Yeah.
let's go, you know. But yeah, it's really, I think it's very the religion's very environmental, you know. Like, it's really hard to be like a Buddhist, you know, in like Western, in like the desert. It just doesn't feel like it's a Buddhist thing to do in a desert. But I feel like, but maybe ocean is more Buddhism, you know. I don't know. How you feel about that?
I think there's like, I mean, going back to reading, which I haven't been reading a whole lot, but I heard somebody talk about a book, and this book
That's how I do it.
was all about like how different religions developed according to their environment.
Oh, makes sense.
And talking about how like different religions, their conception or their relationship with God would be different based off of the environment. Like, oh, if you grow up in a really harsh and like intense environment, that's the relationship you're gonna have with God. Like, is you're gonna be like, God's this harsh, intense dude,
Punishment.
and he's no joke, you know.
Yeah.
But if you grow up in a place where, you know, things are like lush and bountiful, maybe you're more open to a different, you know, like the religion and spiritual traditions in like the Amazon are very different from the ones in like the Middle East.
Yeah.
It's just like, but I mean, my personal belief is that we're all talking about the same thing, and all these different religions are different modalities for connecting to the same thing.
Yeah.
That's what I feel too.
Same thing, just wearing different clothes.
Yeah,
Like those parts.
in the Vedic tradition, they describe this as Sanatan Dharma. They say that there is only one religion. There's an eternal religion.
Yeah.
And for them, the idea of religion is more about like, what is your actual relationship with everything?
Yeah.
Like, and they say that, like, even within the Vedic tradition, there's a bunch of different sub-religions that come out of the Vedas, the scriptures.
Yeah.
And those are all just different modalities for achieving the same thing.
Adaptations.
Yeah. And like, so I totally agree with that. That sometimes you find yourself in an environment and you're like, I feel more called to this. I feel more called to that. But I do think that over time, it's very natural to settle onto something because, like, the world is big, but it's only so big, and life is long, but it's only so long, and like, it's like the day only looks so different. And at a certain point, it's like you're gonna develop a relationship with life, and it doesn't matter where you go. There's gonna be a practice that's gonna like ground you to infinity, the best, or whatever.
You're right. I actually lied. I think I got a religion. I'm a Taoist. Which is the slut religion. You know, we'll be doing whatever, bro.
Wait, elaborate on that.
So Taoism is basically the way of Tao is they call it the way, right? It's like whatever it's the same thing as the Vedic tradition is basically saying everybody is a manifestation of the creator, right? We are all just a little reflection. So our reflection is you have an innate purpose and innate calling, and then that is for you to find out what's your purpose in this world. You know, so like to fulfill your purpose is basically you need to follow that calling, whatever it is to you, and then you do that, then you will live a good life, you know. So like, so it's like it comes some like very interesting like topic comes up, you know. It will be like, oh, if we have a really good, this person is innately good, right? Like he just want to do good things, charity, whatnot, do his things. Like that's his way of Tao, you know. But then we'll have the destruction point of the of the universe. Like some people just came here, they just want to destroy shit, you know. They're just here to fuck shit up. But that's their calling, you know. They are a purpose of like of a death, you know. Like there is cancer, there's viruses, there's bacteria, and then their purpose in life is literally just to like to destroy, create death, and death comes with life, you know. So it's like a full circle. And then so like there are people like that. Then how do you define that? What's the morality in that? What's the virtue, you know? But like to a Taoist, then that will be it just the way it is, you know. But
interesting.
I don't know. I think the camera is way too dark, dude.
Well, I feel like as an artist or as a person with creative tendencies and abilities, at this point I'm in too deep to abandon them.
Yeah.
And it does feel like when an idea presents itself to me, that it might be the more fruitful and efficient route to acknowledge and address it and act on it, rather than constantly trying to ignore or suppress creative tendencies. And to me, like if I can stay in this middle range of not too rich, not too poor, and I still have time to acknowledge and work on these ideas that present themselves to me in a way that isn't super over the top, but it's more with the longevity in mind. To me, I'm like, oh, I think that'll be fruitful in time, and that to me feels a lot more like I'm responding or acting in accordance with the way, you know. The way could also be said to be like the will, you know. It's like and to me that's how it feels. It's like it was very easy to come and have this conversation with you guys, and I think this type of conversation is part of is part of our purpose.
Yeah, I agree.
In life, like not everyone gets to have these conversations, nor will or wants to, and that's okay. I used to think that like, oh, everyone should be thinking more about like these concepts, you know. But I realized, oh, for some people that's not their job. That's not their purpose. Like, and like, just like I don't know how to make shoes or jackets, you know, or like, but there might be somebody in town in this scenario where there's a town.
We're staying on the desert.
And then I go to this person, and they know how to make all this stuff, and I go to them occasionally to get something. Yeah. And I think that the artist is kind of this person that they go and they take a deep dive into chaos, and they'll go into philosophy and stuff too, and they try and pull out something of value, and people will come by and they'll like take some, you know. They'll be like, oh, this is interesting. Like thank you for going there. I never would have gone there. Thank you. It's like I actually don't want to go there, but I mean, as long as you went, I'll take a little souvenir. Like, I don't know. When I think about it in terms of that, it's much more like motivating to keep going, and it gets me excited and inspired to have conversations like these, and it makes me appreciate getting to know you and other creatives like you. Man, because I think we feed off of each other. Yeah, you know.
Man, I want to, you know, what you said that we live in this human experience, right? Like, I wonder, let's just make an example. Like, what would the gods, the enlightened beings would be like, you know, in like the ideal world?
What do you mean?
Like, do they live like Jaden Smith? They just have to, like, they just got, you know, money secured, right? Family's good for the most part.
When you were talking about that place or world or demigod world or place,
That's what I'm saying. To
Well,
me,
it made
Jaden
me-
Smith is demigod.
Yeah,
You know,
that's kind of
because-
how I think of it.
Uh-huh.
No, but
But
I wonder. I don't know. Like even then, I wonder if there's still some sort of struggle, or I think that yeah, there probably is still some sort of struggle. It's interesting because when you said that, I don't know why it reminded me of Sweden. It reminded me of this story, but I met somebody who used to live in Sweden, and basically they encountered people who. Sweden is considered one of the most progressive countries, and in general it's a pretty wealthy country in the spectrum of countries, and they're doing pretty well off on an average person. And a lot of people that he met were depressed, and there was but they were so rich, they were all so good looking, they're tall and living great lives, doing all this stuff, traveling, but it was almost it was life was so good that these people it's there's always still problems. It's I don't know, when you ask that question I wonder, because even if you go back into Greek mythology, the gods, right, they all still had their own problems, you know what I mean, or even Jesus and even in the Bible, there's
Had to do with the snake.
yeah, there's always something, right?
Still ops. Ops never gonna
So
go away.
I wonder what it would be like.
It's-
But I think it's just something that we have to keep wondering.
I think what we're talking about is we're talking about a place where there is the problem of labor is gone, right? We imagine in the utopia where all the basic utility is taken care of.
So Wall-E.
So basically you have, let's just say if money is not a problem taken out of the equation, right, and then you can have all the things that you want in the world, then most people will become depressed because they don't have a purpose. And that is the true essence of life, is the purpose, right? If you are given an opportunity to say you can do whatever you want, go ahead, kid, go wild, if after you've done everything, drugs, sex, if you don't
Traveling,
find
Jesus.
your purpose, what you're here for, you just gonna become as empty, I that's a very typical European thing. All the Europeans that I've encountered, they travel a lot, back home is good, don't have to worry about job so much, but then there's everybody's got that the middle class sickness,
emptiness,
yeah. They always feel they're looking for something, versus somebody's from the third world country or whatever. It's job working is their purpose, so it's very easy, but vice versa, if there's, you don't have to work, that's very confusing for a lot of people, if working is not an option.
It's almost that freedom also it becomes
Freedom is very unbearable for
it's it's funny because the concept of freedom, people want freedom but to an extent. I've thought about this concept before, but
yeah.
people long to have the life of freedom, time freedom, whatever it may be, right? Place freedom, but people only want freedom to an extent,
Yeah.
right? Because true freedom
Is
it is horrifying.
is actually horrifying.
Yeah, I forget who said it, but it was oh yeah, if I drop you out in the middle of the ocean, naked and alone, you're totally free. You're totally free to go wherever you want. Go in any direction you want. Go up, down, north,
Yeah.
south. You're free.
it's almost you feel capable of doing that. If let's just say that you are a
Maybe
very
gods are
capable,
the only beings that can bear that freedom.
I'd just say who you are, that your true self is tested or shown in those circumstances, right? In freedom, most people, we're trained not to be free. We're actually trained to do
Safe things.
to do the safe things, to do the routine, right? But let's say if you are a person that capable of flying, or to be able to breathe in air, breathe in water, you could do those things, but you're just not. We're as human not capable of having that type of freedom. We're not. Our design is not to enjoy the complete freedom. We're we're not those creations. You
Well,
know?
we aren't free by nature.
No.
I think that's something
oh my God. Sorry, I'm not that afraid of bugs, but
that was a big one.
it's loud. It's big. It's a
Yeah,
beetle.
she's not pussy. Don't worry, guys.
Okay. Yeah, I agree.
But I feel like we're like intrinsically not free, and
Yeah.
No, we're
I think
not.
that's very uncool to say in today's new age kind of spiritual movement.
Yeah.
Because everyone's like, it's like, oh, unlink yourself from the matrix, like break free, like you're unlimited. It's like, no, you're not. You are limited.
Yeah.
You're
Very
going to
limited.
die.
Uh-huh.
You're going to die. Guess what? Like you're gonna get old in the meantime.
Yeah.
Before you die, you'll get old. It's like you're gonna get sick, and when you're sick, you can't just snap your fingers and get better.
Uh-huh.
It's like our position in this world is we are completely dominated. Like
Yeah.
there are things that are just entirely beyond our control,
Yeah.
and we think like, oh, like it's like I can do anything. It's like no, you can't. And it's important to like recognize that you can't do anything. It's like I can't go off in the woods, do acid for 12 days in a row, run a marathon, and then expect to go out to New York City fully nude, run for mayor, win, and then 4 years later become the president. It's like there's things that it's not like that it's implausible. It's like no, there's things that
Physical.
that don't work in this world, and
Yeah.
if you were able to manifest some reality where that would happen, what makes you think you'd want to live in that world?
Yeah.
Like there is an order
Uh-huh.
to the universe. It's like, oh my gosh, the way the sun is just so casually setting.
Yeah.
It's like it's just casually setting, and then for a brief moment it just bing flexes on everybody for like 30 minutes, and then it's just like okay, and then it like slowly goes down again, and it just does this day in
Every day.
and day out. It's like
Same shit every day.
yeah, and like the thought that like I don't know. I think the desire to be free is because we've experienced oppression by human forces that want us to submit to them.
Yeah.
But like I think our real freedom is to be found in submission to the right thing.
Uh-huh.
Which like it's like oh no, you can't
that's very
you can't say
interesting.
that now because like it's like the whole idea of submission. It's like no, you're either like a respectful man or you're like a boss bitch free woman nowadays. But it's like respectful man, boss bitch free woman or not, we're all dominated by the same universal force that's just
Yeah.
beyond our control.
That was so interesting what you just said. That freedom, like what is it? The door to freedom is actually submitting to the right thing, right? And it's so interesting, even like in a smaller world sense, like what a lot of people, let's just say, like in like a more human sexual sense, people like submit because they like. It's like they release all control, and it's almost when you release all of that control and responsibility yourself and submit to somebody else, then it's like you feel that freedom, right? And it's almost like
Talking about
acknowledging that.
BDSM or something?
Yeah, but like obviously that's like a
Yes.
small human. That's obviously a small human example, but you know what I mean. But like it's still like.
But that's the same.
Same
That's the same
thing.
principle.
Same
At play
principle.
in like a more like gross, down to earth
Yeah,
thing
like-
that we can all relate
It's just
to.
something like I think like everybody could like
You could also think of it as like a boat that's trying to like swim upstream, or like a person. It's like
But is it ignorance in our human nature that would like to go against God or nature? Right? There's always this like something that we innately look up to is what's that dude's name that he stole the fire from the Pentagon?
Pentagon.
the guy stole fire.
Yeah, and they got pinned down a mountain and get eaten by the hawk every day.
I didn't hear about
I
that.
don't know what you're talking about.
You don't know what I'm talking? Prometheus.
Oh, yeah.
Prometheus.
So Prometheus stole fire from the gods.
Yeah, like he's like, oh yeah, I'm gonna fuck you guys. I'm gonna light up the world, you know. So he stole the fire and he gave it to a human. And the human with fire, we started civilizations, you know. And then that's like one step closer to being God. And then that is a metaphor for our science. Because there will be a
When you said
time.
that.
There will be a time for us to be immortal. It's already happening. They're doing a lot of biohacking type shit, right? Clones. That will be scary. We'll be completely changed our consciousness, the way we think, our relationship with nature would be completely different once we step outside just Earth.
I think it's just
You know?
I think it's how it'll crash and burn eventually. It's just a cycle.
I feel like impermanence is the one constant.
Exactly.
Impermanence is the one thing that never changes. It's like that will always be around.
I almost think it's just like, and it's almost a scary thing, but I almost think it's just the creator or God or universe, whatever you believe that's out there, is just so powerful. It's just like in the end, we can only reach so high.
Mm-hmm.
Then we will crash. We will like crash upon ourselves. You know what I mean? I just feel like, and then the cycle will start over again. It's just like, that's just how like history has been. We talked about this before too.
Yeah. Well, do you not believe we can do it though? Like,
No.
Can we be the creator too?
I don't think so. I think we have the illusion that we can.
I think
personally.
I think we can live in that illusion, much like you can give a child a toy,
Yeah.
a toy hammer and a toy nail, and they can bang these plastic things, and like, and maybe like the child comes while the dad is building something,
Mm-hmm.
and the dad gives him a plastic hammer, and he makes the child feel like he's helping.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
But it's not a real thing.
Yeah, and it's like,
Uh-huh.
and I think that like the creator of the universe, they will give that to us if that's like what we desire.
Mm-hmm.
Like in time, if you believe in reincarnation, or if you just believe in this life alone, it's
Yeah.
like if that's what you desire, is you want to feel like a creator. It's like, yeah, you can have that, but like
People can step up.
there's other
Like,
relationships
yeah.
you can have with your
Oh,
dad.
your camera just died.
Oh.
Well, we can just
Okay.
keep talking.
We
Or
can
almost
keep
Yeah,
talking.
done.
on
we
this.
keep
Fuck
talking a
the
little bit.
video.
Well, maybe we should wrap up though.
Yeah, I agree.
Oh, but this is a good conversation. Okay, let's just
End on a
Pause.
high note.
yeah. Then on a high note, right? So we got something to look forward to.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I was about to go into aliens and stuff.
No, but I'm really.
Okay.
I think I'm glad. I think earlier I just wanted to also circle back. I think earlier why I was frustrated, like I almost on the brink of tears, is because something in me, like I was frustrated. I was like, no, like I don't want to stop now. 'Cause I almost felt like it was like, I knew that there was something like on the precipice, or like there was something too that was,
Could
like,
come, yeah.
more that I wanted to also like understand and like, delve into with you guys. And then I was like frustrated in that moment. But basically, to circle back, I'm just glad. Glad
Maybe
that
doing it
we'll-
outside is not a good idea. Now that I think about it.
Why?
Half of the audio video can really use.
Oh,
Unless
I mean,
I don't know. We'll figure it out. It doesn't matter. What matters
You're interrupting my
is this
clothes.
experience. Sorry. You want to close it?
Yeah, well, basically, it was just going back to saying that I'm just glad that we were able to have you here, Evan, and have obviously all your thoughts and inputs. I think it's a blessing, even if a blessing of the middle class to get to all be together and to be able to explore these ideas and concepts. So, yeah, I mean, I guess at this point, do you have anything else to say?
I guess I would just add that I don't know what I'm talking about, and I don't even
Good safe.
I don't even particularly like know what I have to offer, like in any conversation, you know.
Uh-huh.
But I do feel like this innate desire to enter into conversation, and I think when we when we do this, where we talk about things with the aim to understand more, it's like this is very powerful. And even when nobody watches this conversation,
Yeah.
that doesn't take away from the value of having this conversation.
Yeah.
Like, and I think that it positively affects the world we live in, even if we don't see it. It's like on some quantum level. The fact that we chose to have this conversation, it's like we did some collective creative work together, because a conversation is a co-creative
Yeah.
thing. So thank you for the opportunity to do that. It's not
Yeah.
often people will consciously sit down to talk.
Yeah, 100%.
If you're down, I'm ready to do this again.
We can do it again.
Great.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. I'm so
Well-
bad at doing intro and outro.
Well,
Man.
thank you so much. If you have listened to this far, this is the end of Mid22 podcast, episode 3, and we're looking forward to speaking and conversating with you all again. Thank you.
All right, everybody say the
Peace.
N word.